So it's the beginning of April and I'm going to do a routine inspection on this colony. So I'm going to take the roof off, and then under the roof we see a spider, and apart from the spider we also see, oh, another spider, we can see the insulation. So it's quite common practice to put a block of insulation underneath the roof during the winter to keep the colony just that little bit warmer. So I'm going to take the insulation away and put it down the side. I had a space here. This is known as an eek, and that was there because there was a bit of feed being used earlier. So here I am with the crown board. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to smoke this colony. So I'm going to lift the crown board. I've got my smoker here and I'm just going to puff a bit of smoke underneath the crown board, and then I'm actually just going to leave it for a minute or two while we just think about what is it we're going to do in this routine inspection. Well, we're going to be looking to see that the colony is queen right, by which I mean that there's a queen there and laying, either by seeing the queen or by seeing evidence there is one, eggs particularly. We're going to check there's enough space. We're going to check that there's enough stores, enough food until the next inspection. We're going to check that there's no signs of swarming, and we're going to look for signs of disease. So those are our 5 tasks. Because it's early in the season, we're going to check, perhaps rather than swarming, we're going to look more to see if the colony is building up. So I think it's had long enough, so I'm going to take the crown board off, shake off the few bees that are on it, and here we are. So the first thing that we can say is the colony is looking quite healthy. We can see that there's bees between most of the seams. I've zoomed in a bit and so that you can see there's a lot of bees almost to the edge of the colony. Okay, let's give it a bit of a smoke. Okay, so what we like to do is we like to get one frame out first of all to give us space to move the others around. So what I'm going to try and do is, I think this frame here is not got much happening on it, so I should be able to take this one out without risking any of the other bees. And this type of hive tool here with a hook on it is ideal for this sort of job. So here, just going to nice and gently take the first frame out. Okay, let's see how we're doing with the first frame. So let's have a look. So here we can see we've got stores, we've got sealed honey, it's probably from last year, and then I don't know if you can see this, but there's a lot of nectar here. So this is recent. This has got to be evaporated down before it can be sealed off, although in practice at this time of year it's probably going to end up being used, particularly if we've got a colder day tomorrow, which is forecast. So there we are, there's the first frame. So let's get the next frame out. Now that means, so this is a Langstroth, so we've got 9 frames to work on, and we've got a little bit of room to maneuver having taken the first frame out. So here's the very next frame out, and I'm going to zoom in a bit on this one. What I'm hoping you can see is there's lots and lots of brood there, unsealed brood as we call it. Now I don't see a queen on this frame, but there's lots of healthy brood, and I'm just having a look around for any signs of disease like EFB. I don't see any. It all looks pretty healthy to me, and I'm going to just have a close look to see if I can see any eggs. I can see some pretty young larvae, but I don't actually see any eggs. But I suspect there have been some there within the last few days, so it's likely that we've got a healthy queen. One interesting thing is, I don't know if you can see by my thumb here, we have a drone. Slightly surprised that we have a drone. So early, 2nd of April, but we do. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out again. Don't know if you can see on the other side of that frame, there's lots of pollen there. Okay, so there's one frame with brood on. That goes back in the colony. Bee temperament pretty good really. Not too much trouble from this colony so far. Okay, so next frame out, just a quick look on both sides before I talk any further. So I don't see any queen on that, but lots and lots of sealed brood. And a nice, what we call a nice brood pattern, that is, there's very few dead cells between the good cells. One cell after another. Good brood pattern. So that's 2 frames with brood on. Remember, this is the beginning of April. This is pretty early to be having such a strong brood nest. Next frame up. Again, quite a lot of brood, various different stages. Let's have a look on the other side. Now, we're getting now towards the stage where I could see the queen at any time. See another drone there, but there's no drone brood. So that's 3 frames with brood on. It's going back in. 4th frame out. And there's our queen. See, she's just by my finger there. But that's a queen, she's not clipped. So there she is. And she's looking good. She's a healthy queen, nice size, and she's obviously laying quite well. I'll just gently turn this over now. We try and keep the frames above the colony so that if the queen were to drop off for any reason, she would drop onto the hive rather than onto the ground. Okay, so that's 4 frames of brood. Frame number 5 coming out now. Okay, so we know we found the queen. So here's frame number 5. Lots and lots of brood here. Fair bit of stores, reasonable amount of stores. No real worries on the store front. Quite hard to see inside the cells because it's quite dark comb, but I think there's plenty of eggs in this colony. I see another drone there. I don't know if that's how easy it is to see, but there's a drone here. So I don't quite know where he's come from because I've not seen any drone brood yet. It's a tiny bit early. You can see some of the bees are covered in pollen. There's one there covered in pollen. Okay. So that's frame number 5 of brood with brood. Frame number 6 coming up. Look at that, wall-to-wall brood, practically, not exactly, but lots of brood. Colony going very well. Last summer's queen, well mated. A few drones there, a couple of drones in the middle. Don't know if you can see those. 2 drones there. Quite a lot of pollen, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this colony will be a prime colony for issues like early swarming. So we're going to have to do a demery on this one very soon, and we're going to have to super this colony early. Right, here's the next frame. Well, the first thing that strikes me about this frame, I don't know if you can see this, is that the brood on this frame is drone brood. Okay, slightly unusually, it's not down the bottom of the frame, which is the common place for drone brood to be. Okay, so there's a frame of drone brood, but this drones of course take 24 days to emerge, and I don't think that I can see any signs of emerged drone brood. I don't know if you can see there's some drone brood cells down there, some drone brood cells down there near my thumb with some eggs in them. So just by my thumb here there's some cells with eggs in. I don't know whether you can see those, but they are drone brood, so they're larger cells, and the queen has laid eggs in them. Okay, so that's frame number 7 with brood on. Here's frame number 8 coming out. Okay, frame number 8 also got brood, not so much, but it's got some brood in the middle there. I don't think you'll be able to see it very well, it's underneath the bees. I don't know if you can see any brood there in the middle of that frame. Anyway, so that's 8 frames of brood by the 2nd of April. Nice colony, nice colony, nice temperament. They don't run around all over the show, not buzzing around me. That's a nice day, which helps. But nice temperament for a colony. And the final frame, which rather as expected, has not got any brood on. This is a bit like the first frame we took out. So the far side of this has really got nothing on it at all. There's an old queen cell there from last year, I'm sure. It's quite a bit of a ropey bit of frame, and I'd quite like to replace this one, to be honest. Put a nice new frame in there. It's always nice to replace your old frames. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go and get myself a nice new frame to put in there instead. So here's a frame with foundation in it, wired foundation, and I'm going to stick that in, and I'm going to shake off the bees from this one. So that's the bees off now. Obviously it's a shame for the bees, they're going to lose those stores, but there's no brood here, no eggs, so they're going to lose a bit of stores, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. The weather's going to be very warm by Sunday. We're expecting the weather to warm up a lot, so I think they'll replace that quite quickly, and that frame of foundation will give them something they can draw out, and new foundation always is more sort of productive for colonies. So anyway, we had 8 frames with brood on, and we've seen the queen. We've not seen any signs of European foul brood or any other brood diseases, and in fact we haven't seen much in the way of evidence. Of course, adult bee diseases are much more difficult to spot just by looking at the colony, but we haven't seen any. We've seen that the colony is building up really well. As I say, 8 frames of brood by the beginning of April is very strong. I'll leave them, they can keep that frame. Still quite a decent one. And I'm actually going to put a queen excluder on here and put a super on top, because it's going so well. I want to give them space. So just do a little bit of gentle smoking just to send the bees down for a minute. So we can pop the queen excluder on. And here's a super going on. Cobwebs and stuff in there. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's got 8 frames. Drawn comb just gives the colony a bit more space, makes it feel a bit more roomy. These cobwebs out, I don't see any nasty big spiders. Get these eggs out. Okay, so there we are. We've given them a bit more space, because otherwise this colony, I think, is a prime target for swarm preparations. I'm actually going to take away the insulation from this colony as well, because I don't want it to feel too warm. Okay, so that finishes the inspection for this colony.